On the morning of February 27, 1995, the impossible happened. Barings Bank, the oldest merchant bank in Britain, collapsed. This was not just any bank. Barings had financed the Napoleonic Wars. It had helped the United States complete the Louisiana Purchase. Queen Elizabeth II herself kept accounts there. For 233 years, Barings had stood as a symbol of British financial power and aristocratic stability. And one 28-year-old trader in Singapore had destroyed it all. His name was Nick Leeson. He had grown up in public housing in Watford, a working-class town north of London. He had no university degree. He had started his career as a clerk, settling trades and filing paperwork. Yet somehow, this young man had accumulated losses of £827 million, roughly $1.4 billion at the time. The losses exceeded the entire capital reserves of the bank. When investigators finally untangled the mess, they discovered something extraordinary. There was no elaborate conspiracy, no team of criminals, no sophisticated scheme. Just one man operating virtually unsupervised on the other side of the world, hiding his losses in a single account that nobody in London bothered to examine. This is the story of how ambition, arrogance, and catastrophic management failures combined to bring down an empire. Nicholas William Leeson was born on February 25, 1967, in Watford, England. His father was a plasterer. His mother worked as a nurse. Nothing about his early life suggested he would one day become the most infamous rogue trader in financial history. Leeson left school at 18 with only modest qualifications. His first job was as a clerk at Coutts, the private bank that served the royal family. He then moved to Morgan Stanley, working in their settlements department. This was back-office work, far from the trading floor. He processed paperwork. He reconciled accounts. He learned how the machinery of banking actually functioned. In 1989, Leeson joined Barings Bank. Again, he started in settlements, but Leeson was ambitious and hard-working. He impressed his superiors. When Barings needed someone to sort out a massive backlog of paperwork in their Jakarta office, they sent Leeson. He spent 10 months in Indonesia, clearing up problems that had accumulated over years. He succeeded brilliantly. This success changed everything. Barings decided to expand their operations in Asian derivatives markets. They needed someone to set up a trading operation on the Singapore International Monetary Exchange, known as SIMEX, and they chose Nick Leeson. In 1992, at the age of 25, Leeson arrived in Singapore as the general manager of Barings Futures Singapore. He was given authority over both the trading floor and the back-office operations. This arrangement would prove fatal. In any properly managed financial institution, the people who execute trades are kept separate from the people who record and settle those trades. This separation exists for one simple reason: to prevent fraud. At Barings Singapore, that barrier did not exist. Nick Leeson controlled both sides. Leeson's job was straightforward. He was supposed to execute trades on behalf of Barings clients and engage in arbitrage between the Singapore and Osaka exchanges. Arbitrage involves exploiting tiny price differences between markets. When done properly, it carries minimal risk and generates modest but steady profits. At first, Leeson performed well. He was personable and popular on the trading floor. He developed a reputation as a skilled operator. Bonuses and praise flowed from London. But beneath the surface, problems were developing. Shortly after arriving in Singapore, Leeson created a secret account within the Barings system. The account was numbered 88,888. In Chinese culture, the number 8 is considered lucky. Leeson would need all the luck he could get. The account was supposedly created to hide a trading error made by a junior colleague. According to Leeson's later testimony, one of his traders had made a mistake that cost Barings £20,000. Rather than report the error, Leeson hid it in the 88888 account. He believed he could trade his way out of the loss. This decision set the pattern for everything that followed. Instead of admitting small failures, Leeson concealed them. Then, he made increasingly risky bets to recover his hidden losses. When those bets failed, the losses grew larger, and so the cycle continued, month after month, year after year. By 1993, Leeson was living two completely separate realities. To his superiors in London, he appeared to be a star performer. The reports he sent showed consistent profits. His bosses believed he was generating millions for the bank through low-risk arbitrage trading. The truth was precisely the opposite. Leeson had abandoned arbitrage almost entirely. Instead, he was making massive directional bets on the Japanese stock market and government bonds. He was essentially gambling with the bank's money, betting that markets would move in particular directions. When they moved against him, he doubled down, hoping to recover his losses with even larger positions. The 88888 account became a black hole, swallowing ever larger sums. By the end of 1993, Leeson's hidden losses had reached £23 million. By the end of 1994, they had exploded to £208 million. How did he hide such enormous sums? The answer reveals the almost unbelievable incompetence of Barings management. Leeson controlled the daily reports sent to London. He simply excluded the burner account from these reports. The losses existed only in records that stayed in Singapore. But Leeson needed money to cover margin calls on his losing positions. Margin calls are demands from exchanges for cash deposits to cover potential losses on open trades. As Leeson's positions grew larger and his losses mounted, these margin calls reached staggering amounts. Leeson convinced London that he needed funds for legitimate client business. He told them the money was for margin on trades he was executing for major clients. London sent the money without adequate verification. Over 2 years, Barings transferred hundreds of millions of pounds to Singapore based essentially on Leeson's word. The failure at Barings was not just about one dishonest trader. It was about a management culture that ignored warning signs that should have been obvious. In 1994, an internal audit team visited Singapore to review Leeson's operation. Their report noted the dangerous lack of separation between trading and settlements. They recommended that Leeson should no longer control both functions. Barings management acknowledged the problem but did nothing to fix it. Leeson remained in control of everything. The Bank of England later documented numerous other red flags. Leeson's reported profits were suspiciously high for low-risk arbitrage trading. The margins he claimed to be holding were inconsistent with the trades he reported. The amounts of money being transferred to Singapore were extraordinary for the supposed nature of the business. Perhaps most damning was a concerned inquiry from the Singapore Exchange itself. Cymex officials contacted Barings in London to ask how the bank intended to cover Leeson's growing positions. This should have triggered immediate investigation. Instead, Barings management reassured the exchange that everything was under control. They had not actually examined what Leeson was doing. Ron Baker, who headed Barings' financial products group, later admitted that he had never fully understood what Leeson was supposed to be doing in Singapore. Peter Baring, the chairman, confessed he had thought the business was pleasantly boring and risk-free. The profits Leeson reported were too good to question. He had received a bonus of £130,000 in 1994. He was considered one of the bank's most valuable employees. Nobody wanted to look too closely at the golden goose. Everything fell apart in January 1995. Leeson had accumulated enormous positions betting that the Japanese stock market would remain stable. He had sold options contracts that would pay off only if the Nikkei 225 index stayed within a certain range. On January 17, 1995, a massive earthquake struck Kobe, Japan. Over 6,000 people died. The Japanese economy, already struggling, faced sudden crisis. The Nikkei plummeted. Leeson's positions were devastated, but instead of cutting his losses, he did what he had always done. He doubled down. He bought thousands of futures contracts betting the market would recover. The market continued to fall. He bought more. The losses accelerated. By mid-February, Leeson's hidden losses had surpassed £800 million. The margin calls from Cymex were now larger than Barings could possibly meet. On February 23rd, Nick Leeson wrote a brief note of apology and fled Singapore with his wife Lisa. "I'm sorry," the note said. When Barings executives finally examined the dummy account, they found £827 million in losses. The bank's total capital was approximately £470 million. Barings was not just insolvent, it was obliterated. The Bank of England convened emergency meetings that weekend. Officials searched desperately for a buyer who might rescue Barings. Several parties expressed interest, but the unknown extent of Leeson's positions made valuation impossible. No one could determine how much more money might be lost as his trades were unwound. On Sunday, February 26, 1995, Barings Bank was placed into administration. The following day, the bank was declared insolvent. 233 years of history ended with a single announcement. The Dutch banking and insurance group ING eventually purchased Barings for the symbolic sum of £1. They assumed all liabilities and attempted to rebuild what remained of the business. Leeson and his wife fled through Malaysia and into Thailand. Their destination was London, where Leeson apparently hoped to turn himself in on British soil. But the route required a connection through Frankfurt, Germany. When their flight landed on March 2, 1995, German police were waiting. Leeson was arrested and detained pending extradition. What followed was a legal battle between Britain, Singapore, and Germany. All three nations wanted to prosecute Leeson. Ultimately, Singapore's claim prevailed. Leeson had committed his crimes on Singaporean soil, and Singapore's legal case was strongest. In December 1995, Nick Leeson stood before a Singapore court. He pleaded guilty to 2 charges of deceiving the bank's auditors and cheating the Singapore exchange. He was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Leeson served his time in Changi Prison. During his incarceration, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. He underwent treatment and survived. He was released in 1999 after serving roughly 4 years, with time off for good behavior. Meanwhile, British authorities conducted extensive investigations into the collapse. The Board of Banking Supervision, under the auspices of the Bank of England, produced a detailed report on what had gone wrong. The findings were devastating for Barings management. The report concluded that the collapse was caused by unauthorized and ultimately catastrophic activities of one individual that went undetected as a consequence of a failure of management and other internal controls of the most basic kind. Several senior Barings executives were criticized. Some were barred from future management roles in banking. The Barings collapse sent shockwaves through the financial world. Regulators in every major market re-examined their oversight procedures. Banks scrutinized their internal controls. The concepts of operational risk and rogue trading entered mainstream financial vocabulary. Singapore's financial authorities implemented stricter monitoring of trading positions. The Monetary Authority of Singapore enhanced its surveillance systems to detect unusual patterns of activity. Similar reforms spread to exchanges worldwide. For Nick Leeson, life after prison took unexpected turns. He wrote a memoir titled Rogue Trader, which was later adapted into a 1999 film starring Ewan McGregor. He became a speaker on the corporate lecture circuit, discussing risk management and the dangers of inadequate oversight. He served briefly as commercial manager of Galway United Football Club in Ireland. His first marriage ended in divorce. He remarried in 2003 and settled in Ireland. The Nick Leeson story has been told many times as a tale of individual wrongdoing. A working-class kid who flew too close to the sun. A gambler who could not stop. A fraudster who deserved his punishment. All of that is true. Leeson broke the law. He deceived his employers. He destroyed a venerable institution and cost thousands of people their jobs. But the Barings collapse was never just about one man. It was about a system that failed at every level. It was about managers who did not understand their own business. About auditors who noted problems and walked away. About regulators who trusted banks to police themselves. about a culture that valued short-term profits over long-term prudence. When authorities asked how one junior trader could accumulate losses exceeding $1 billion without anyone noticing, the answer was simple. Nobody was watching. Nobody wanted to watch. The profits Leeson reported were too attractive. The questions were too uncomfortable. The controls were too inconvenient. Barings Bank survived the Napoleonic Wars, 2 world wars, and countless financial crises over 233 years. It could not survive the combination of one dishonest employee and a management structure that made honesty optional. That is the real lesson of Nick Leeson. Fraud succeeds when systems fail, and systems fail when people stop paying attention. Barings Bank exists today only as a name on legal documents, its operations long ago absorbed into larger institutions. The grand offices on Bishopsgate in London now house other tenants. The aristocratic partners who once guided British finance have scattered to other pursuits. But in business schools and compliance departments around the world, the name Nick Leeson endures. He has become a case study, a cautionary tale, a reminder that the greatest risk in any organization is often the risk nobody bothered to measure. The young clerk from Watford who wanted to prove himself ended up proving something far more important. In the absence of oversight, ambition becomes dangerous. In the absence of accountability, small failures become catastrophic ones. And in the absence of honest examination, even the oldest and most respected institutions can vanish overnight.